So here's my question. Like, if people, one in every household is allowed to go out, but then in order to have grocery stores where people can buy stuff, you need to have workers who can work at the stores. You need to have like delivery drivers. You need to have logistics people. You need to have a lot of things still be operating. And of course, the farms and the slaughterhouses and all that. And
the farms aren't necessarily locked down.
Right. But I just mean like there's a whole supply chain of like a job chain essentially for how to still maintain food. So
how does that work with everybody being locked down? Is that the question?
I guess there's just lots of exceptions.
Well, no. What happens is a lot of times people who have to work are put into closed loop management, which means like you're now living at your factory.
Or you live at your grocery store.
For the duration of the lockdown. Like a lot of those delivery drivers in Shanghai, they were living in tents on the street. They weren't going to be allowed to go back to wherever they were living. You know what I mean?
All for people's health.
Yeah.
That's what you want is delivery drivers living on the streets for 2 weeks.
Or 2 months in Shanghai. You know, It was bad. Yeah.
Like not showering, not washing for like 2 months.
And we saw in Shanghai, like the truck drivers trying to come in with goods from out of town, right? And how a lot of them were stopped at the border.
That's right, yeah.
And they're rotting vegetables. It was a mess. But like I said, they learned their lesson. 1 person per household is allowed to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, people are not allowed to criticize these policies in any way. Which now makes me think of a recent episode on America Uncovered about how California is trying to make it illegal for doctors to spread COVID misinformation.
Yeah, I wonder if that's actually going to get signed into law.
Is the only thing stopping that just whether or not Governor Gavin Newsom signs it?
Yep, basically. It's been approved through the legislature, but he had, from the time it was approved, he had 3 weeks to sign it. And if he doesn't become law.
Saving it for the last minute.
Or just doesn't want to touch this political hot potato.
I could see that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the more stringent proposed bills that this California vaccine working group had come up with didn't go through because people aren't as worried about COVID as they used to be. So having a bill that gives the police the ability to enforce public health laws is suddenly like, oh, wait a minute, do we want to do that?
Defund the police, except
when we need them to enforce public health law. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that really is the kind of like slide into authoritarianism that we see has happened in China. And you see that is not a good thing for a society.
I'm not sure if it's a slide so much as like a trapdoor that just opened.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'm just imagining there's like all those videos from China of police going to people's doors and like even breaking down their doors to detain them for having COVID or being suspected of having COVID or saying things
or welding
online.
Those doors shut so they can't leave.
Yeah, you either like kidnap them and take them to detention centers or you lock them in. It's like got to be one of those two.
Yeah, I think it's more likely quarantine centers now than being locked in your home because they've started, since Shanghai, they started to do this like statistic thing where they will count cases in the community or not.
Right. So zero COVID is actually zero community spread of COVID.
So as long as you've already rounded everybody up and put them in quarantine centers, it does not matter. They don't count anymore.
Okay. I have an idea. So every major city, we're going to now call a quarantine center.
And then there's no COVID?
There's no COVID. There's no community spread of COVID because it's all technically happening within a quarantine center.
And then all the Western newspapers will be like, wow, China successfully stopped COVID.
China saved the world again.
And its economy is doing great.
Oh my gosh. Well, the COVID economy is doing great. The one company, Andon Health, that makes like test kits, they had a 27,000% profit increase in just the first 6 months of 2022. That's insane.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many tests were being manufactured.
Yeah,
like, we're talking about antigen tests, right?
Yeah,
so,
they had also been like a failing company, in like running up to 2019. So like, obviously, like they're at a low point, but they still made $2.2 billion in profit, much of which was because the U.S. government ordered at-home COVID tests for Americans from this Chinese company. Because, obviously, if you want a solution to the COVID problem, you go to China and buy the test kits from there.
Well, I mean, they're making the test kits. Yeah, I noticed actually that, every time I see a test kit in a drugstore or something like that, it's always made in China, no matter what the company is.
You know what else was made in China? Well, we don't need to talk about that here on YouTube, where we could get our channel shut
Face
down.
masks?
Yes,
that's what we're talking about, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
face masks.
Yeah. And thank goodness China was providing us some of the face masks that they
I'm
kept
just
for
so
themselves.
honored that my taxpayer dollars could go to an authoritarian regime that uses rape as a form of torture to sell us masks.
Yeah.
Speaking of using rape.
And tests.